My daughter Katherine always believed that the right piece of paper could change everything. She had been that way since she was a little girl, collecting autographs from strangers, keeping every permission slip in a neatly labeled binder, framing her college diploma before she had even found an apartment to hang it in. Paper made things real to her. Paper made things permanent. So when she slid that stack of documents across my kitchen table, her pen already uncapped and waiting, she genuinely believed that one signature would give her everything. The documents were power of attorney forms, medical and financial. Katherine had printed them out herself, 3 pages of dense legal language with little yellow sticky notes pointing to every line where I needed to initial. She had even brought a notary with her, a bored-looking woman from the bank who sat in my living room scrolling through her phone while Katherine made her pitch. "Mom," Katherine said in that careful voice she used when she thought I was being difficult, "it is just in case. You are not getting any younger. What if something happens? What if you cannot make decisions for yourself? Someone has to be ready. Someone has to be in charge. And I am your daughter. It should be me." I looked at the documents. I looked at my daughter. I looked at the notary, who was not even pretending to pay attention. And I looked out the window at my garden, at the roses my husband had planted the spring before he died, at the bird feeder where the goldfinches were fighting over the last of the sunflower seeds. I thought about all the things Katherine had already taken without asking. The family jewelry she had borrowed for a party and never returned. The antique china she had claimed was too fragile for me to keep using. The photograph album she had moved to her house for safekeeping that had somehow become permanent. She had a way of taking things, not all at once, but slowly, gently, with a smile and a reason. She never stole. She just borrowed forever. Now she wanted something bigger. She wanted my future. I did not sign the papers. I told Katherine I needed time to think about it. Her smile flickered for just a moment. She said time was not really on my side. I asked what she meant. She said I was 72 years old. I said 72 was not dead. The notary looked up from her phone. Katherine laughed, a little too loud, a little too sharp. She said, of course, I was not dead. That was the whole point of the documents, to make sure I did not end up dead because someone could not make decisions quickly enough. I looked at her for a long moment. Then I picked up the documents, walked to the kitchen drawer, and put them inside. I told Katherine I would read them carefully. She said there was nothing to read. It was all standard. I said I would read them anyway. She left. The notary followed. I locked the door behind them. That night, I sat at the kitchen table with the documents and a cup of tea. I read every word. I read the fine print. I read the paragraphs Katherine had not marked with her little yellow sticky notes. And there it was, buried on the 3rd page, in a section she had probably hoped I would skip. The financial power of attorney did not just give her access to my bank accounts while I was alive. It gave her the ability to transfer assets into her name before I died. She could sell my house. She could empty my savings. She could move my investments into her own accounts, all legally, all with one signature, my signature, the one she had been so eager to collect. It was not about protecting me. It was about taking everything. Not after I was gone, but before. While I was still here. While I could still watch her do it. I did not sleep that night. I sat in the dark living room with the documents in my lap and thought about all the years I had given her. The tuition payments when she decided to go back to school. The down payment on her first house. The free childcare for her 2 children, years of it, every Tuesday and Thursday, every date night, every emergency. The car I bought for her when hers broke down. The furniture I gave her when she said she was starting over. I had given and given and given, and she had taken and taken and taken, and now she wanted the rest of it. She wanted the house. She wanted the garden. She wanted the future my husband and I had built together, brick by brick, rose bush by rose bush. In the morning, I made coffee. I fed the goldfinches. I pruned the roses. Then I got in my car and drove to see a lawyer. Not the one Katherine had used for her own paperwork. Someone else. Someone older. Someone who had known my husband. His name was Mr. Harrison, and he had helped us buy the house 40 years ago. His office was still in the same building, still smelled the same, like old books and furniture polish. He was retired now, mostly, but he still came in 3 days a week to help old clients. I was an old client. I sat in the worn leather chair across from his desk and told him everything. Mr. Harrison listened without interrupting. He did not look surprised. He had seen this before, he said. Adult children who confused their inheritance with their responsibility. Adult children who wanted their parents gone, but not too gone, gone enough to hand over the keys, but still alive enough to sign the papers. He asked what I wanted. I told him I wanted to make sure Katherine could never get her hands on anything that was not already hers. I told him I wanted to rewrite my will. I told him I wanted to lock down my house, my bank accounts, my investments, everything. I told him I did not trust my daughter anymore. Mr. Harrison nodded. He opened a file. He started writing. He asked if I wanted to leave Katherine anything. I thought about it. I thought about the years of giving, the years of taking, the stack of documents on my kitchen table, the notary scrolling through her phone while my daughter tried to take my future. I told Mr. Harrison to leave her a small amount. Enough to know she was not forgotten. Not enough to matter. The rest, I said, would go to my grandchildren directly, in trusts that Katherine could not touch. The house would be sold after I died, and the money would go to a scholarship fund at the local high school. My husband would have wanted that. He believed in education. He believed in starting over. Mr. Harrison asked about the power of attorney documents. I told him I had not signed them. He said good. He said I should never sign anything Katherine put in front of me again. He said I should consider getting a safe deposit box for my important papers. He said I should change the locks on my doors. He said I should be careful. I thanked him and wrote him a check. Then I drove to the bank. The safe deposit box cost $40 a year. It was worth every penny. I put my new will inside. I put the deed to the house inside. I put my birth certificate, my marriage certificate, my husband's death certificate. I put the documents Katherine had tried to make me sign, the ones with the yellow sticky notes and the buried paragraphs. I closed the box, locked it, and put the key on a chain around my neck. It hung there next to my wedding ring, warm against my skin. Then I went to the hardware store. I bought new locks for every door. I installed them myself. It took me the whole afternoon. My hands were sore. My back ached. But when I was finished, I sat on the front porch and listened to the goldfinches and felt something I had not felt in years. Safety. Not the false safety of trusting someone who did not deserve it. Real safety. The kind that came from knowing I had protected myself. Katherine came by the next week. She did not call first. She just appeared, like she always did, like she still had a key. But the key did not work. She stood on the porch, jiggling the lock, her face confused. I opened the door. I did not apologize. I told her I had changed the locks. She asked why. I told her I had decided to be more careful with my keys. She asked what that meant. I told her it meant I was keeping my house to myself. She stepped inside anyway. She looked around, the way she always did, like she was taking inventory. She asked if I had thought about the documents. I said I had. She asked if I was ready to sign. I said I was not. Her face changed. The smile disappeared. She asked why not. I told her I had read the fine print. I told her about the paragraph on the 3rd page, the one without a sticky note, the one that would let her transfer my assets into her name while I was still alive. Her face went white. Then it went red. She said I was misunderstanding. She said that was just a standard clause. She said she would never do that. She said I was her mother. She said she loved me. I looked at my daughter. I remembered the jewelry, the china, the photographs, the tuition payments, the down payment, the years of childcare, the car, the furniture. I remembered all of it. And I remembered the stack of documents on my kitchen table, the notary scrolling through her phone, the careful voice Katherine used when she thought I was being difficult. I told her that love did not look like that. Love did not involve hidden paragraphs. Love did not involve borrowing things forever. Love did not involve showing up at someone's house with a notary and a pen and a plan to take everything they had. Katherine started to cry. She said I was being cruel. She said she was just trying to help. She said she was just trying to be prepared. She said I did not understand how hard it was to watch me get older. I listened to all of it. When she was finished, I walked to the kitchen drawer. I pulled out the documents. I handed them to her. I told her to take them. I told her I would not be signing them. I told her that my future was mine. I told her that my house was mine. I told her that my money was mine. I told her that she would get exactly what I decided to give her, when I decided to give it, and not a moment before. She stood there, holding the documents, crying. I opened the front door. She walked through it. I closed it behind her. I locked the new lock. It turned smoothly. A few months passed. Katherine did not come by as often. She called sometimes, but the conversations were short, careful, like we were both afraid of saying the wrong thing. I did not mind. The silence was peaceful. I spent my days in the garden, pruning the roses, watering the tomatoes, filling the bird feeder. I spent my evenings reading, watching the news, drinking tea. I visited my grandchildren on my own terms, taking them to the movies, baking cookies with them, telling them stories about their grandfather. I did not mention Katherine. They did not ask. Children know more than adults give them credit for. They knew something had changed. They did not need me to explain it. One afternoon, I got a call from Mr. Harrison. He said the new will was ready. He asked if I wanted to come in and sign it. I drove to his office the next day. The document was 4 pages long. I read every word. I read the fine print. I read the paragraphs that made sure my grandchildren would be taken care of, and my daughter would not. I signed my name on the last page, Mr. Harrison signed as witness. His assistant signed as the second witness. The will was official. Katherine would get a small monthly payment for 5 years after I died, enough to live on, not enough to be comfortable. The house would be sold. The money would go to scholarships. The grandchildren would get their trusts when they turned 25, old enough to understand what their mother had tried to do. I drove home with the new will in my bag. I stopped at the bank. I put it in the safe deposit box next to the deed and the marriage certificate and the documents Katherine had wanted me to sign. I closed the box. I locked it. The key hung around my neck, warm against my skin. A year later, Katherine came to visit. She called first this time. She asked if she could come over. I said yes. She arrived alone, without the children, without her husband. She sat on my couch. I sat across from her. She looked older, tired, like she had been carrying something heavy. She said she wanted to apologize. She said she had been wrong. She said she had let her fear get the best of her. She said she had been thinking about money and inheritance and control when she should have been thinking about me. She said she was sorry. I looked at my daughter. I thought about the jewelry, the china, the photographs. I thought about the documents on the kitchen table, the notary, the hidden paragraph. I thought about the safe deposit box and the new will and the key around my neck. I thought about the garden, the roses, the goldfinches. I thought about all the years I had given her and all the years I had left. I told her that I accepted her apology. But I told her that accepting an apology was not the same as forgetting. I told her that trust, once broken, took a long time to rebuild. I told her that I was willing to try, but that she would have to be patient. She nodded. She was crying. I was not crying. I had done my crying already, alone in the dark, with the documents in my lap. We sat together for a while. She asked about the garden. I told her about the new roses I had planted. She asked about the goldfinches. I told her they came every morning at 7. She asked about the bird feeder. I told her it needed to be refilled every 3 days. She asked if she could help. I said yes. We walked to the garden together. I handed her the bag of sunflower seeds. She filled the feeder while I pruned the roses. The goldfinches watched us from the maple tree. The sun was warm. The sky was blue. It was not perfect. It was not the same as before. But it was something. It was a start. When she left, I walked her to the door. She hugged me. I hugged her back. Then she walked to her car and drove away. I closed the door. I locked it. The key turned smoothly. I went back to the garden. The roses needed watering. The tomatoes needed staking. The bird feeder was full. I had work to do. I had a life to live, my life. On my terms. In my house. With my garden, and my goldfinches, and my memories of my husband. Katherine thought one signature would give her everything. She was wrong. One signature gave me everything. It gave me the power to say no. It gave me the courage to protect myself. It gave me the freedom to live the rest of my life without fear. I signed that document at Mr. Harrison's desk. It was the best signature I ever wrote.